October 27, 2018, was Karva Chauth in India. It is a deeply significant evening where millions of married women fast from sunrise to moonrise, praying for the health and long life of their husbands. To break the fast, they look up through a sieve at the moon and then at their partner. At 9:30 p.m., 32-year-old bank manager Deepika Chauhan stepped out onto the balcony of her luxury apartment in Gurugram. She and her husband, Vikram, lived on the 8th floor of this massive housing society, and she was heading outside to spot the moon so she could finally eat. 7 minutes later, at 9:37 p.m., the complex's security guards heard a deafening crash hit the ground floor. They rushed to the courtyard and found Deepika. She had plummeted from the 8th story to her death. A night exclusively dedicated to celebrating a lifelong marital bond had ended abruptly in a wife's violent, premature death. The police arrived to find Vikram in tears. He told investigators that his wife had been severely depressed and acting completely withdrawn. He suggested that her mental state had finally driven her to jump. To back up his story, Vikram pointed to the balcony. There were broken terracotta planters scattered near the railing. He claimed Deepika must have used those pots as stepping stones to hoist herself over the edge. From the outside, a suicide seemed entirely out of place. Deepika and Vikram had a 6-year love marriage, 2 young children, and highly successful corporate careers. To their friends and family, they lived an enviable, financially independent, and flawless life. But as police took Vikram's statement, they noticed something that didn't fit the narrative of a depressed woman jumping alone. Vikram had fresh, unexplained scratch marks on his hands. He brushed them off as a minor accident. The public image was flawless, and the husband had a plausible explanation. But those scratches meant the police could not simply file this as a tragedy. They had to stress test every physical detail of the scene against Vikram's story. The autopsy report arrived 2 days later, and it immediately destroyed the suicide theory. The medical examiner found distinct finger marks bruised into Deepika's neck. Underneath her fingernails, they extracted traces of human skin that belonged to Vikram. This split-screen diagram illustrates the most glaring physical anomaly at the crime scene. On the left, we see the mechanics of Vikram's alibi. If Deepika stepped on a soil-filled planter to climb over the railing, she would have dirt on the soles of her feet. On the right is what the medical examiner actually found. Deepika's feet were completely clean. There was 0 trace of potting soil. Based on that missing soil, investigators concluded Vikram broke the planters himself after she fell. He staged the scene to make a murder look like a desperate climb. The physical evidence was backed by a direct witness in the building opposite the Chauhan's flat. Because these luxury towers sit so close together, she had a clear line of sight. She reported seeing Vikram drag Deepika to the edge by her neck and push her over the railing. The scratch marks, the clean feet, and the eyewitness all pointed to one reality. Deepika did not jump. She fought for her life against her husband. Once the physical evidence proved how she died, investigators seized Vikram's phone to figure out why he did it. Digital forensics experts extracted years of hidden data, revealing a completely different life behind the perfect marriage. In 2015, the couple bought their luxury flat through a real estate agent named Shefali. According to the recovered data, Vikram and Shefali began a secret, intense affair that lasted for years, right under Deepika's nose. This diagram shows how they maintained the secret. Vikram and Shefali didn't use standard texting trace. The affair eventually reached a breaking point. Shefali became pregnant with Vikram's child. She divorced her own husband and gave Vikram a strict ultimatum. He needed to leave Deepika immediately so they could start a new life together. When Deepika firmly refused to grant a divorce to protect her young children, the love triangle turned into a lethal zero-sum problem. Vikram decided the only way out was to eliminate his wife entirely. The digital records proved Karva Chauth was actually Vikram's second attempt. 3 days prior, on October 24th, he took Deepika and the kids to Nainital. His intent was to isolate her on a remote mountain trail and push her off a steep drop, framing it as a tragic accident. But he made a single, careless mistake in their hotel room. He went to take a shower and left his phone sitting on the counter, unlocked. While he was in the shower, a notification popped up. Deepika saw a text from Shefali that read, "All the best." Deepika opened the app and scrolled through the uncleared chat history, discovering that the man who claimed he was trying to save their marriage was actually coordinating every move with his mistress. She faked a severe illness, creating a crisis to force Vikram to abandon the hike and drive the family back to Gurugram. The trip meant to isolate her had failed. Just one day after returning home, on a night meant to celebrate their longevity, Vikram used the isolation of their home to do what he couldn't do on the trail. Confronted with the missing soil, the neighbor's testimony, and the recovered text messages, Vikram's alibi collapsed. He formally confessed to strangling and pushing his wife. Both he and Shefali were arrested for their roles in the conspiracy. Yet the legal process moves at a glacial pace. Shefali was granted interim bail in November 2018 due to her pregnancy, and the High Court granted Vikram bail in March 2022. Both currently walk free as they await trial. While lawyers debate the mechanics of the crime in court, the immediate damage is permanent. A 4-year-old girl and a 6-month-old baby boy lost their mother in an instant, left to grow up in the shadow of a violent conspiracy. The justice system can carefully catalog the physical evidence and the digital footprints, but it cannot restore a family unit that was shattered by a parent's own hands. Look back at the photos this couple posted. To thousands of people scrolling through social media, they were living a dream of luxury vacations, professional success, and marital bliss. Behind closed doors, it was a volatile environment, culminating in a pre-planned murder. The scariest part of this case is how easily absolute terror can hide behind a pristine digital facade. It proves that what we see online is heavily curated, and that unquestioning trust in a picture-perfect life can sometimes be a fatal vulnerability.